Good morning. Here we are on. This is becoming a regular thing, me turning down Beethoven when he gets noisy. Uh, Welcome to day 9 of my Beethoven choices during the lockdown, in the spirit of his 250th birthday. Yeah, and today's piece, you can hear thumping away in the background, is one of Beethoven's more famous pieces. I've recommended a few things that aren't quite so famous, but this is in the violin sonata repertoire, one of the most famous, if not the most famous violin sonata. It's the Kreuzer Sonata. God, I can't remember the opus number. What is the opus number? Opus 47, number 9. It's his 9th violin sonata. And it's another example of Beethoven taking a type of piece and taking it to its absolute limit, extending its length, and making it twice as difficult as it's ever been before, but twice as rewarding as it's ever been before, twice the emotional depth as it's ever been before. And he certainly does it with this sonata. It's a fabulous piece, and an absolute tour de force for the violinist and the pianist. The recording I've chosen to watch on YouTube, it's not one I listen to, not a performer that I've listened to, but I'm sure her recording of it is great, is Anne-Sophie Mutter, and the pianist is Lambert Orkis on YouTube. It's a very vibrant performance. The sound quality is good as well. A lot of the more classic violinists on YouTube, their recordings are a little bit grainy and the sound is a little bit muffled. The recording I listen to on Spotify or CD is the classic Perlman Ashkenazi. I don't think it's been bettered, personally. There's been some great performances by current violinist Isabel Faust, one of them. But I love the Ashkenazi Perlman recording. Their whole set of violin sonatas is just superb. So I would recommend that. The piece itself is totally enjoyable, very dramatic, as you can hear. I'm going to recommend, if you just want to listen to one movement of it, that you listen to the first movement. But that's about 16 minutes long. So that's it playing in the background. Sorry, it's the bit where I jig to the music. That's becoming a regular thing. I'd love to be able to play the violin. Oh my god. And there's Anne-Sophie looking like an absolute goddess, and looking good, looking beautiful. Yeah, it's got quite a story to it, this piece. It was originally written for a violinist called Bridgetower. I can't remember his first name. That's bad, but let's call him Mr. Bridgetower. And he was a really fascinating character who deserves a film or a play of his own, in that he was a very famous violinist, and he was also mixed race. So we're talking in the middle of the 19th century here. And him and Beethoven was crazy about him. In fact, he wrote a dedication on this piece to the mulatico lunatico, which is not particularly politically correct thing to say, but I know Beethoven meant it in the best possible way, which just means crazy mixed race person. To the crazy mixed race person. Bridgetower had a very interesting life. Please Wikipedia him, look him up. If you're a writer, write a film script or a play. It should be written about him. Unfortunately, so it would have been known as the Bridgetower Sonata, this piece. Unfortunately, they fell out. He fell out with everybody eventually, and then made up and fell out. He was that kind of a guy. They made up again. They didn't make up again. They fell out, and he then dedicated it to the violinist Kreuzer, from where it gets its name now. And Kreuzer never played it. Didn't like it. Didn't like Beethoven. Didn't like Beethoven's music. So it's the Kreuzer Sonata, but it's the Bridge Tower Sonata, really. But Kreuzer, which is quite a dramatic onomatopoeic, God, I'm glad that came off, trying to say that in the morning, word, sort of suits it better. Kreuzer. It sounds a bit like the music. So, yeah, it was also the inspiration for a short novel by Leo Tolstoy, who is not famous for writing short novels. Very short novel, like a novella, about a husband and wife who the wife gets a piano teacher, a violin teacher or a pianist, and they play this together, this piece together, and the husband gets very jealous of them and stabs his wife and attempts to stab the guy. Sorry, spoiler alert. But yeah, it's quite a short novel, and contrary to what people might think, and this may sound a little patronizing, Tolstoy is not difficult to read. So I recommend that. That's a good book choice for the lockdown as well, and it's not very long. And you can listen to this music and read the book. I once saw something at the Wanamaker Theatre, which was a performance of the Kreuzer Sonata by a fabulous violinist whose name I can't remember, followed by a short play based on the Tolstoy book, followed by a performance of the string quartet by Janacek, which is called the Kreuzer Sonata, but it's actually based on the book, not the piece. So it's kind of like based on Beethoven once removed. So a lot of information about this piece that isn't actually about the music itself. The music itself, very dramatic, very exciting, very technically dazzling first movement, which is the one I'm going to recommend. The second movement is a set of variations on a very beautiful theme, very inventive. It's a very long movement, but doesn't seem it. And then a very exciting gypsy ending. So the whole piece lasts about 40 minutes long. You'll really enjoy it. It's another walking Beethoven piece, as opposed to sitting there thinking, what's life all about? Beethoven piece. And enjoy it. So, a penultimate day of my Beethoven thing. It's gone very quickly. Yeah, I hope you're all doing well in the lockdown. Okay, bye now, and I'll see you tomorrow.